Hey everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Outside the Lab. You're here with me, Daniel, and Waleed.
Hello, everyone.
And yeah, today it's just the two of us, and we're going to talk about the favorite TV shows that we've been watching the last few weeks or months, and the ones that are coming out that we're really excited looking forward to. So I'll start off, I guess, because the TV show that actually I just finished today is an anime called Death Note. Very popular, I think, in 2012, 2013 when it came out, and a very good anime. I have to say, like well well detailed, not too long, so 37 episodes, but really gets you kind of immersed in this mind game that's being played by these two characters. One of them being the protagonist, and one of them being another character that you kind of learn soon has a very different kind of side to him. So it's one of those cat and mouse games. But what I like about Death Note is it's more in the mental sphere than in the actual action and kind of like fast paced mode. This is more like taking everything slow, but still in a more exciting and thrilling point of view.
Wow, very nice. I have a question. Is the anime in Japanese or is it in English?
So you can watch like with most animes that I've watched, you can watch this one dubbed, which is to have all the characters speaking English, so they have English voice actors come, or you can watch it subbed, so have them speak Japanese, but you have the English subtitles. I like to watch all my anime subbed because I feel like you can really hear the emotion and the kind of you can feel the story more when they're speaking Japanese because the story writer Japanese and the voice actors are Japanese. So to have them speaking in their native language makes, in my view, more sense for the story as opposed to in English because when I try listening for a few times to the dubbed version, the one that's in English, is it sounds nice, yes, it's still you can follow everything, but it just sounds a bit like when you have sometimes like Google Translate. Like it can sound a bit sometimes emotionless and scripted.
Hmm.
But
Uh, yeah. Have you ever watched Money Heist?
no, I remember you were talking to me about that another time, and I would want to get into it because it does seem I did actually read in this article I was looking at a few weeks ago that the next few seasons after the first one, which I remember I watched a bit of, gets really exciting. And I think like did it already finish or there's more seasons coming out?
There's another season coming out in September, I believe,
Okay.
but I'm not 100% sure. I only bring that up because the show is actually in Spanish, but I watch it dubbed. Sorry, I watch it with the English voice actor
Okay.
because I don't know, it just feels so weird reading and listening at the same time. But I understand how anime would be different
Yeah,
because
I
you
mean
need the emotion.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I actually I think I told you before, right? That I remember I started watching Money Heist, which is I think is also the Spanish version, I guess. The like original would be called La Casa de Papel, which literally means like the house of money in Spanish. Um
Yes.
Money House, which ties into the whole story. But I remember I was watching it at first, the first season, like first two episodes I think or three episodes in Spanish, so subbed with English subtitles. That was fast. Like for me, someone who I guess like likes listening to Spanish music once in a while, and like I took a few courses in Spanish at the University of Waterloo. Still, like that was like hard for me to listen to and also read at the same time. And yeah, I don't know. It almost felt that because it was so fast that it was almost hard for me to keep up with the story. So maybe in that case, I agree with what you're saying that the dub would be better. And I
Yeah.
should say there are. I'm not saying that for all animes dubbed is bad. Like there are some I hear people say that it's very good. Like Attack on Titan, which I was gonna say actually as the second anime I didn't finish, but I got caught up to because the anime is returning for the last season for the ending of the last season is returning sometime next year. But the dubbed version of Attack on Titan, it's not bad. You can still hear the emotion quite a lot, but I just felt that there's there's a certain thing about the like Japanese language I found like from all these animes that you can have this like really like almost scarily kind of like video game like, or like, no, I guess video game you could say, but more so like this kind of like, it's almost like you're reading a book, because that's the level I found of like connection you find with the characters, because their voices can be so like unreal is the word I want to say. The voices can get to a sound this it's that it can make these like, ways that in Western like English shows, you can, let's say in Breaking Bad, right? There's some moments that were really intense. I don't know if you watch Breaking Bad.
No, I haven't, but
Oh,
I
but
can imagine.
there's some, or Game of Thrones. I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones.
No, I
Okay,
haven't.
but you know what I mean. There are some like Western shows where it can be
Yes.
really intense, right? But I just feel like
Yeah.
that intensity is taken to another level in the Japanese language, and the way that these voice actors can like try to manipulate these phrases that, from the English translation, it's important, it's big, but it's almost like in the mind, when you're reading a book that says this, it would be like such a higher level of like intensity. That's what I find happens with a dub a lot. Sorry, with a sub, whereas the dub can sometimes lack that. And some people say it can almost become comedic, how these like really intense scenes can be like ruined. So there's the kind of this like these memes and these like, lists of videos on YouTube of how these, really intense scenes in anime can be ruined by dub. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think for me, those are the two shows, the two animes I'd recommend for people is Death Note. I just finished, as I said, great one, and really really good. Also, I want to say, because it's a detective show, I don't want to give too many details. I already kind of said a lot when I said the protagonist, and there's a another character who has a different side that you kind of learn about, and it's a lot about mind games. And I have to say one last thing about it: it's a detective show, and it's about, kind of think of it as a very very long murder mystery. That's how I'd say it. A very very long murder mystery, but it has a supernatural aspect to it of like ghosts. So that's a pretty nice one. And then Attack on Titan, which that's been like, as I said, I caught up to the final season where it ended, and now it's going to be kind of continue with the last part of it's going to be next year sometime. That's more of a action, so tons of action, a very good story about kind of this apocalyptic area where there's titans that rule over the world. It's kind of, as the name suggests, Attack on Titan. And there's these walls that humanity has to live in to protect themselves. So this whole kind of, apocalyptic, the way I'd almost think of it like Hunger Games sometimes, that there was this feeling of like fight or flight a lot that you could feel with the emotion that the characters were using, that the voice actors were using. So you would say Money Heist. Do you have another show that you'd recommend?
Yeah, Money Heist, I don't wanna give away too much, but there's so many crazy twists, like, it's just, like, unbelievable, like, the stuff that happens, but I would also say if you want a show that gets you like, that's bingeable, but also doesn't, like, last too long, so, I mean, I don't know if it's 13 episodes to 12 to 10 to 13 episodes too long for 1 season, or is that, like, pretty short, 40 minutes?
So it's not too bad, I'd say. It's a moderate length.
So the show is Survivor, and there are 40 seasons, but there's no connection between the seasons necessarily. Like, yes, there are some contestants that come back, but each each season can be watched, and then you don't have to come back for the other one. You can like wait a month or two if life interrupts. But it's just a show that like there's no really spoiler to it. It's just 20 Americans go to an island, they get split up into teams, and they have to compete to not lose members of their team. And the person who makes it to the end wins $1 million. But there's a catch. There's a jury of the members that you had to put hand in voting out that that have to decide who gets the $1 million. So it's usually out of three people, the last three
Huh.
people remaining.
Yeah, that sounds
And
really nice. And sorry, you were saying?
it's basically just a large social experiment.
Yeah, I mean, the other show I'd recommend, like those two that I said before, Death Note, Attack on Titan, good, as I said, action and like, detective kind of shows that are a nice watch, because each episode is like 20 minutes and it's not too in detail, but it's a really good captivating story. But those are kind of what I'd say, like, good stories to watch, and like good like very like big like thematic things. But in terms of documentaries, our last episode, the first episode that we did in outside the lab, was about basketball, right? The NBA Finals, which actually just wrapped up, and we'll have another episode coming out soon about our all of our reactions to the last game and to how we're going to think in the future about how NBA is going to look now with that win by the Milwaukee Bucks. But in terms of like looking at basketball, one of the documentaries I say that's my favorite that my brother introduced me to is called The Last Dance. I don't know if you heard of it, Waleed. It was a documentary
I
about Michael Jordan's life, really, as a basketball superstar.
I have. It was an
I think,
amazing.
yeah, it's very good because it does a lot of things that I feel like documentaries don't do, and I feel like and I like documentaries. I should kind of preface it with I'm a big documentary fan. Like the History Channel, love the documentaries about history, warfare, a lot of ones about like ancient like literature I would be interested in, or science documentaries. But they always had a thing of like it's boring. It's said by a guy with a really like kind of sleepy voice that you can lose track with. Last Dance doesn't have that. First of all, it's Michael Jordan doing the whole talking a lot about it. So you have the guy that's focusing on doing the talking. That's pretty cool. And it features all these cool interviews. Like Scottie Pippen, um, what's his name, Dennis Rodman, all these basketball analysts involved, and it really shows, I think, it from all sides. Obviously it's Jordan, he was the one on the production crew, so it's not going to say him in that bad of a light, but hey, it still does show a lot of his shortcomings, I think. And it has such a nice like, because this is, you have to remember, this is a part in history for all basketball fans. Think like almost everyone really I talk to, only some people that say LeBron's the best, which really I don't try to I try not to pay attention to those people. Everyone knows that Michael Jordan changed the game. Like he when you think of basketball, you can't not think of Michael Jordan. That's kind of the way I say it. And he is considered the GOAT, and a lot of people say he is the GOAT. I think so as well. Um, and I just think like this documentary is a really good way of encompassing that, but yet showing how he had a nice like side outside of basketball as well. Yeah, like what do you think about the show?
Yeah, I knowing how Scottie Pippen is today and back
Yeah,
then, like I think that part was the funnest part for me. I think it like people also said like, oh, it makes Michael Jordan look good and everyone look bad. I think it actually reminds people, especially of our age, how good Scottie Pippen was, how good Dennis Rodman was, like because they were not able to win until they got. I know for the first three championships they had a guy similar to Dennis Rodman. I forget his name, and then the last three they got Dennis Rodman, and I know that they struggled without those guys. So it highlighted the fact that Michael Jordan struggled early in his career,
yeah,
and it
for
highlighted
sure.
things that people every time people talk about Michael Jordan, they just go six championships,
Yeah,
undeniably the GOAT. But it talked about how he struggled. He
like
struggled until
especially
he was
the
older.
like 1988, 89 matches against like in those finals against the Pistons. How like at that
Mhm.
time the Pistons were a good team.
Oh yeah,
Like especially with what was his name? Was it
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas? Yeah, he was a great opponent. Not to mention then later when they faced, what team was Reggie Miller in again? There were so many teams they talked about, I forgot.
Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, the Pacers, and there was the guy that they nicknamed the Glove, um,
Gary Payton.
Gary Payton. Yeah, I think he was on what team?
Gary Payton was on the Seattle Sonics.
Sonics. Yeah. So again, even these teams that don't exist. So it's a good look at the history of basketball at that time. Plus, kind of like a lot of it they say also explain how the new era started, because you have to think of how Jordan ended his career in 1998, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's going to come back, right?" And I think he did for a tiny bit at the what was that team? The Washington Wizards, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so came back a tiny bit, but then left for good, right? And then he had, and also it explained also in the middle how he had his baseball career. How there was obviously a very tragic event that happened in his life. I don't want to say what it was because it's kind of for you to figure out when you watch it. But how that kind of changed. Oh, not to mention how people can say it's all about Jordan. I think it shows really well about how his coach, who people say is the greatest coach in NBA history, undeniably, Phil Jackson. like how
Yep.
that code, like because of him, like they had such a new play and stuff because they showed how they kept losing and losing and losing 88, 89, 90, and how 91 or was it 92 when they started? I think 92, right? Yeah,
91.
91 is when is when they started winning, and then Phil Jackson. I think Phil Jackson came in after. I want to say though, right?
He was there for the first 3 championships because they kept hitting a wall,
Yeah, yeah,
and then he
and
introduced the triangle offense.
yeah, and it's all these game changers. But when you look at how after Jordan retired, and then you had all this new generation, so like Kobe Bryant, right? That's when he became really big in basketball. And
Shaq.
even Shaq, even like people like LeBron. Yeah, he was very young then, but still, the people who were starting out, it's just interesting how you can see this kind of like transitioning from Jordan. Because you have to think also before Jordan, there were these big hits, but it wasn't like it was such a big part of the like. It wasn't like there was so much superstar stardom as you have today, in my view at least. You had players like, um, what's his name, Will Chamberlain, sure, Bill Russell, I think his name was right in the Celtics.
Ye
Yeah, right, Bill Russell.
I don't know. I
I
can't
think so,
confirm,
Bill
but I think you're
Russell.
right.
But like, yeah, these guys were in like a while ago. Like Chamberlain was in '69. Like I know that's when he was playing, like 1960s, right? Bill Russell was even like I think that time as well, the '70s. Then you obviously had people like what's his name, Larry Bird, right? Magic Johnson, Kareem. So all these guys were sometime around. Yeah, some of them were playing around Jordan's time, but some of them a bit earlier, I think, right?
Yes.
Like they already were introduced to the NBA earlier. So it's interesting how before you had these kind of like trailblazers that were earlier, and then Jordan kind of after Jordan. Now you see the modern era of basketball. So I think it's a very good take on that. And honestly, I'd be interested in seeing how they could do this with other sports. So imagine this with hockey. So like if Wayne Gretzky did it, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if they have tape on Gretzky, but
Yeah,
sometimes
because
hockey players are accused of being boring. But I I know for sure present day they're collecting videotapes of everything.
yeah, I mean, I already know that like I because I'm almost like certain that Gretzky's considered the best right now. Well, like sorry, it's considered the best of all time, right? In hockey. Or
Mhm.
was there another one, Bobby Orr? I thought he was also considered the best. And there was also another one, right? What's his name? He was nicknamed Mr. Hockey. I forgot his name.
He just died.
Yeah,
What's his name?
let me search that quick. Mr. Oh, I already remember Gordie Howe.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
him.
I
So like that's what
yeah.
I think is it'd be interesting to see with like other sports. So hockey, like as I just said, with soccer, you have people like Pele. There's the whole argument that I remember Abdullahi went into depth with me about either is it between Pele or Maradona was the best. And about soccer, how that kind of led into the transition of people now like Messi, Ronaldo, right? All those guys. Even somewhat you can say with tennis, the early tennis players. So I just feel like this has opened up a door to how can other people do it. Now I know that some people say that, oh well, that's kind of like not going to be that like everyone's just going to copy what Jordan did, but I don't know. Maybe they can do it in a better way. Maybe they can do it in a just different way, right? Because I think it was a way to make documentaries cool, but yet give you all that information that is in a documentary. And also, this is only like 10 episodes, so you like each episode 60 minutes. Yeah, but I think like for me, especially the last few episodes, it like I actually started binging them because it was so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna ask,
I,
like, did you have anything just to say about the Last Dance or anything else before we wrap it up? Or
I just recently watched a documentary called Eating Planet Earth, which is pretty cool, and it talked about like how we are basically how we are on the precipice of all of our food being either lab grown or made and grown in the ocean, and how sustainability is like we're on the horizon of a lot of solutions to our problems.
yeah,
And it's
which is sorry, yeah, continue.
no, I was just gonna say like they're using fungi to grow burgers,
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
as we know, once you give it like an agar solution. That's all it needs. So it
Yeah,
doesn't need all the production that goes into a cow. It doesn't emit methane. It saves a lot in the long run.
yeah, and I think that that's a nice example of how a lot of documentaries now are maybe being more like hopeful and more, I guess, looking at the opportunity. Because I remember a lot of the ones about the environment before were like, we're doomed. We're like, we're all gonna die. Like for example, like in Inconvenient Truth, right? Like I understand the point of those documentaries to be more like serious, but I feel like it's always nice to have a good ending to it. Or I guess there were the other nature documentaries like just called Nature that by like David Attenborough that can be like really boring and stuff. So again, I think it's good that we're seeing good documentaries, but yeah, overall that's a wrap. I think that's all the shows that I'd recommend to you for now. That's a good amount to start watching with. The Last Dance you can find on Netflix. Not sure where else, but probably can find it other places. Attack on Titan and Death Note are both animes, and you can find them on Crunchyroll. Probably some other sites as well. Maybe Funimation is another anime one. Money Heist you could find on Netflix, right?
Yep, and Survivor is on Paramount.
Yeah, and you can also try to find these these places. There's other sites probably that have them, YouTube maybe stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically our TV recommendations for now, and we'll maybe do another episode with Abdullahi and Brian again, and with other TV recommendations, video game recommendations, movies, and stuff like that, just to let everyone know what we're watching, and hopefully you guys can enjoy these shows as well, and let us know. Yeah, I found this show nice, this show nice. But anyway, for now, this is Daniel and Waleed signing off from outside the lab, and we'll check you in next time.
See you, everybody.
See ya.